Hey everyone, it's Paige. Welcome back to my channel. So once again, I've fallen a little bit behind on actually doing these wrap-ups and updating you on what I've been reading in like a regular fashion. In a way, I guess I've been updating you on what I've been reading through like reading vlogs, but I do feel like it's time to do one of these wrap-ups again. We're gonna go back to June and we're gonna wrap up all of June in July, and that'll be 7 books. So let's do it. So on June 17th, I finished Gild by Raven Kennedy. This is the first book in the Plated Prisoner series. This is a new adult fantasy romance retelling, and it's essentially a retelling of the story of King Midas, aka, if you're not familiar, the king who has the power to touch something and turn it gold. So this follows a girl named Arin, who was sort of rescued by King Midas when she was like in her early teens. She was kind of living on the streets, living a very dangerous life. So when King Midas actually found Arin, he was not yet a king, but throughout the years that they know each other and stay together, he becomes king, and he sort of makes her his like personal concubine, I guess, but in a weird way, because Arin is pure gold, so she has been Midas touched. She is completely gold in her skin, her nails, her eyes, everything is gold, and she is the only person to have ever been golden touched like that. I feel like my glasses are giving off too much of a shine. Is that better? Now I won't be able to see if I go out of focus so well. So people flock to see her because she is, you know, obviously this phenomenon, but she is proof of King Midas's powers. However, there is a complication that arises when a foreign king comes to visit King Midas, and King Midas agrees to a deal that Arin cannot back at all. I have started the second book in the series, Glint, and from what I can tell, the series takes a real turn. It kind of reminds me of how like ACOTAR is really different from ACOMAF. I enjoyed this. However, major trigger warnings like abusive relationships, sexual assault, I feel like that's a major thing because it's understated in this book, and yet the abuse is definitely there. So keep that in mind. That's really all I have to say so far. I think I'll have more opinion on the whole series in general when I actually, you know, finish the second book and the third. Okay, so after I read that, Booktok had some more recommendations for me, as always, and this time they recommended a contemporary romance. I don't often read contemporary romances. I feel like if I'm going to read any romance at all, it's probably going to be a fantasy romance. However, I saw one TikTok of a girl that was absolutely going crazy over this series, and I just decided to give it a shot, and I ended up really liking it. So I read all 3 of the Ravenhood books by Kate Stewart. The first book is Flock, the second book is Exodus, and the third book is The Finish Line. The concept of the Ravenhood series, I feel like, is obviously a play on Robin Hood. This follows a girl named Cecilia, who is the daughter of a millionaire who owns this really large company. I don't remember what they manufacture or anything, but she ends up moving in with him and to the town where the company was started and founded, and in order to like earn her inheritance from her father, he demands that she work in the factory for like a year or something. So she ends up moving to Triple Falls into his mansion, and she works a job at the factory where she meets a guy named Sean. I feel like it's a very classic love story type of thing with Sean. Like, she has great chemistry with him, she has a real like emotional bond with him, it's a great relationship, and then reverse harem. But the point is that there are secrets that Sean and other people in this town hold, and Cecilia has to make the decision whether she wants to know those secrets and be put in danger herself. The thing I think I liked most about these 3 books is that the romance is great. However, I feel like the plot is really good too. This series is also quite a roller coaster. I didn't expect feeling as much heartache as I did, I guess. Like, I expected something very light, romantic, you know, but like the plot really came in and like shot me in the face a few times. Like, it was pretty strong, like the feelings that I had throughout. Anyway, I really enjoyed it, so look into it, see if it's something that you would enjoy too. Quite a game changer, but after I finished that trilogy, I finally finished the young adult fantasy trilogy I was working on, which was Shadow of the Fox. This is the third book, Night of the Dragon by Kagawa. This is a young adult fantasy set in Japan, inspired by Japanese mythology. I said I wasn't going to wrap this up because in my last wrap up I was almost done with it, so I sort of wrapped it up there. But since it was such a long time till I actually finished it, I'll just say quickly that I enjoyed the whole series a lot. I highly recommend it if you enjoy anime, if you like Japanese mythology, and you like a diverse cast of characters. This last book hurt me. Ugh, it was pretty painful. But like in a good way. It was like a bittersweet feeling, you know? But it was good. It was good. It was a good experience. Yeah. Alright, moving on, I'm going to quickly wrap up the 2 books that I just recently finished in my reading vlog. The first book that I finished in that vlog was The Whisper Man by Alex North. Totally took me by surprise. This is a horror thriller novel that I described as like a mixture between The Shining and I'm Traveling Alone, because there was definitely more of a focus on like the crime in this book and like the police force and their investigation into the crime than I thought there would be. This follows a man named Tom who, after the death of his wife, relocates to a new town with his young son. And this town has sort of a gruesome history where 20 years ago there was a spree of murders that were attributed to what the public calls the Whisper Man. And essentially what the Whisper Man would do is he would whisper outside the windows of young children at night and lure them out and kill them. So yeah. Anyway, around the time that Tom moves in, a young boy goes missing and his disappearance looks to be similar to the disappearances that were attributed to the Whisper Man. And then Tom's son starts to hear whispers outside his window at night. This was incredible to me. I loved this book. I did not think that this would be such a huge win for me. This was completely unnerving. There were certain supernatural aspects that really made me feel uncomfortable. Of course, the crime in general made me feel uncomfortable because obviously this is a book about crimes against children. And then it got like really emotional. Like all of these pieces started to come together and like really hurt my heart. Because weirdly, even though there are so many perspectives, you kind of get attached to like all of the characters, which is rare, especially in a book this short. I would definitely highly recommend this if you are okay with those sort of trigger warnings. I would not say that anything is really explicit or gory in this book, so there's that at least. But I do highly recommend it if you're looking for something thrilling yet very emotional. Okay, last but not least, the second book that I almost finished in that vlog was The Silent Companions by Laura Purcell. This is an historical fiction gothic horror set in the 1860s in England. This follows a woman named Elsie who is newly widowed, and she goes to her late husband's country estate to see out her pregnancy. This estate is like crumbling, like abandoned basically. There aren't a lot of staff there. The town seemingly like hates Elsie and her entire husband's family. So it's not a very comfortable life for her, and it gets even more uncomfortable when Elsie unlocks a door in her new home, and inside this room she finds a wooden figure. So imagine like a painting but propped up on like a stand, so it's like a 2D sort of statue. She finds this silent companion that looks a whole lot like herself. The spookiest thing about this silent companion is that its eyes seem to begin following Elsie around the premises, and as the story progresses we see more and more of these silent companions that pop up in new and weird places. So I wasn't completely unnerved by the whole concept of the silent companions. I feel like I'm generally more creeped out by like dolls and fully fleshed statues. But what I liked most about this novel was probably the historical fiction aspect of it. A little bit into the book you get another perspective from the 1600s, and getting to see these two storylines sort of weave together and connect was really fun. I also feel like Laura Purcell was just really good at writing historical fiction. It was sometimes hard for me to remember that this was a book that was recently written. I kept thinking I was actually reading like a classic novel because it also reminded me of like The Turn of the Screw by Henry James. Like it actually felt like that. It felt like a classic horror novel. I really enjoyed this, and I definitely recommend it if you are looking for something that's gothic horror yet contemporary. Okay, so those were all the books that I read in the past 2 months. I could have read more, but it's been a really busy summer so far. Right now, I'm over halfway through the Southern Book Club's guide to slaying vampires. Really enjoying that. My question to you is, what are you reading and what have you read this month? Have you read anything really good? Are you feeling a certain genre right now? Like I said in my reading vlog, I'm really feeling like mystery thriller horror right now. It's just, I don't know, I guess I'm prepping for fall, even though I should definitely be enjoying summer right now. With that being said, I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, please like, comment, and subscribe. If you haven't already, follow me on Instagram, Twitter, and Goodreads. And I will see you back here very soon. Bye!